Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back. In this one today, I wanted to discuss a map that is incredibly underrated in the zombies community, and that is Blood of the Dead. So many people hate on this map, and I don't understand why. So with this video, I'm going to be white knighting this map and explaining why it's a lot better than what most people think. I'm going to divide this video into two different parts, going over the two biggest complaints I hear about this map, which is the gameplay and the Easter egg. First, let's talk about the gameplay. Treyarch added in a ton of new areas to Blood of the Dead, and some of them are really good, like the infirmary where you can build the magma gat and use a really powerful trap to get to high rounds. All of these newer areas are also heavily used in the Easter egg, like the spawn location in Richtofen's laboratory, which a lot of people hate and say that it's terrible because you never go back to it once you leave. Well, first off, you constantly come back to this area if you're doing the main Easter egg quest, or even some of these certain side Easter eggs. And just because it's a hard area to survive in long term, doesn't mean it's a bad area on the map. There are tons of spawn rooms similar to Richtofen's lab that don't have a lot of space to train or camp long term, like Origins, Buried, and Shadows of Evil. And while these maps are praised and put on a high pedestal for their map layouts, Blood of the Dead is hated on. The other area that people complain about on Blood of the Dead is the catwalk. Going through the first time can be really cool to experience, and once you reach the other side, you have the option to never go through that area again and just use the underground tunnels instead. The hands that reach out and damage you draw players away, and is a huge complaint with this map that I hear time and time again. I treat these hands like the mud on Origins or Shinonuma. You have the option to go through those areas to save time, but they aren't necessary, and there are ways to skip them. On Origins, you can use the tank or the boom Hilda. On Shinonuma, you have the zipline. And like I said before, on Blood of the Dead, you have the underground travel system. And when going through the catwalk for the first time, which you have to, if you come prepared with a fully charged specialist weapon, you can easily get through with no hassle. Getting a fully charged katana literally takes the first 2 rounds to do, and if you don't want to deal with Brutus, you can just not shoot him. It's not that hard to get through the catwalk. One thing I will give Treyarch some flack for is removing the Golden Gate Bridge. It was an iconic part of the original Mob of the Dead, and I think it would have been cool if they brought it back in some way. Maybe for the boss fight, instead of going to some random area behind Richtofen's lab, you fly over to the Golden Gate Bridge. That would have been amazing. It does suck that we don't see it again, but it doesn't justify this map being one of the worst. In terms of map layout, Blood of the Dead is great. It's not better than some other maps in Zombies, but by no means do I think it is bad. Some other cool gameplay additions that I like with this map is the introduction of the Magma Gat. It's a great wonder weapon, and a lot of people like to hate on the Acid Gat on this map because they did nerf it a bit from the original Mob of the Dead. I can understand why some people would be annoyed with that, but let's be honest, if Treyarch brought back the Acid Gat from Mob of the Dead in the exact same way, or even made it a little bit stronger, I'd still pick the Magma Gat every single time because it's miles better than any other version of the Blunder Gat. Treyarch also made a lot of changes to certain side Easter eggs on this map. A good example is the Golden Spork. I much prefer the process of getting the Golden Spork on Blood of the Dead in comparison to Mob of the Dead. These steps on Blood of the Dead are much easier to follow and a lot more engaging gameplay-wise when it comes to actually getting the Spork. And if you're a true hardcore player and you want to step it up a bit, you can upgrade your Golden Spork even further and get the Golden Spork Knife, which is the best melee weapon in all of Zombies. It insta-kills Brutus and kills zombies forever. While it can be very challenging to get, it's very rewarding. High rounds on Blood of the Dead are also done very well. You have so many weapons at your disposal like the trap in the infirmary, the magma gat, the Helion salvo, your specialist weapon, and even your equipment whether you want to use the Wraithfire grenades or the Hell's Redeemer. Speaking of which, another big complaint about this map is that the Hell's Redeemer isn't useful because Wraithfire grenades exist. And while I can agree to some extent, I think it comes down to what you're actually doing in the game. On Mob of the Dead, getting high rounds was incredibly dreadful because you could only use traps and the Hell's Redeemer, which only killed a certain amount of zombies. On Blood of the Dead, you have so many options to kill the zombies that even if they brought back the Hell's Redeemer in the exact same way from Mob of the Dead, people still wouldn't use it. It's the same case with the Acid Gat. Just because the originals aren't as good doesn't mean that the alternatives that they added in are bad. The Hell's Retriever still has a lot of uses as well when it comes to doing the Easter egg. Speaking of which, it's a nice segue into the second part of this video, and it's also the biggest complaint that people have with this map, and that's the Easter egg. I've always said time and time again that a hard Easter egg doesn't mean it's bad. Blood of the Dead is a hard Easter egg. Most intermediate and even some advanced zombie players are going to struggle with completing this Easter egg. In terms of difficulty, it's up there as one of the hardest Easter eggs in all of zombies. But the design for these steps is actually really well made. It takes a lot of inspiration from Gorod Krovi in Black Ops 3, where you have to do a series of steps to unlock 5 challenges. And once you complete those 5 challenges, you then do the boss fight. People love to give a ton of hate towards the Morse code step, but I honestly don't see it as much of an issue. You don't have to have a huge knowledge of Morse code in order to do this step. If you go through trial and error, then you can easily complete this step in less than a few minutes. A lot of people give shame to the fact that you have to go online and learn Morse code to do an Easter egg step, which, first of all, you don't, like I just said before. All you need to know is what a long and a short are. And second of all, Gorod Krovi's Valve step requires you to go online and use a formula calculator for that specific step. Yet Gorod's Krovi Easter egg gets no flack and is seen as one of the best of all time. Another step that people love to hate on is the bird step. A lot of people say that there are too many bird locations, and while I do agree with the fact that there is, it doesn't make the step super annoying or difficult. You aren't required to memorize every single bird location, since you can use audio cues to find out where the bird actually is. A lot of people hate this step, but every time I do it, I never have any complaints, and in comparison to every other step on this map, it's one of the easier and straightforward ones. The only other step that I hear people complain about time and time again is the first step of this Easter egg, where you have to get Brutus to break open the hidden wall in the warden's office. I will admit, when this step was originally found, I didn't like it at all. I hated how Treyarch gatekeeped the Easter egg to round 17. It ruined the flow of the game because you would already be done with all the other necessary steps by round 5, and then you would have to wait another 10 to 12 rounds to actually do the rest of the Easter egg. However, when the Monkey Bomb glitch was found, where you can open up this door as early as round 4 if you're skilled enough, I no longer hated this step, because it pretty much no longer existed. The Morse code step, bird step, and wall step are all incredibly despised on this map, and to this day, I don't understand why, because there are steps that are worse on other zombies maps, yet Blood of the Dead gets all of the hate. While Blood isn't my favorite Easter egg, there are a lot of things that I do love about it. One thing I will give this map a lot of praise for is the cinematics. This map has a ton of cool cutscenes, not just towards the end of the Easter egg like most other maps, but also while you're doing the steps, which makes the map feel a lot more immersive. Now, the majority of things that I've said about this map and this Easter egg have been overall really positive, but there is one thing that I will give Blood of the Dead some flack for when it comes to the Easter egg, and that is the over-reliance on the shield. I understand that the shield on this map is supposed to serve as the afterlife mode from Mob of the Dead, but I much prefer the afterlife mode to the shield. I'm fine with the shield being included in a lot of these steps, but sometimes it can be a bit overkill. To activate one of the 5 challenges midway through the Easter egg, you need 2 shield blasts, which is completely unnecessary. I think if they lowered the amount of times you actually need to use the shield while playing this map, it would be much better, but I digress. Overall, Blood of the Dead is an extremely underrated map, and so many people say it's one of the worst for the dumbest reasons, like it's not like Mob of the Dead, or the Easter egg is too hard. While there are some things that I don't like about this map, like the lack of the Golden Gate Bridge and the over-reliance on the shield, the rest of the map is actually really well made. It has some of the best cinematics in all of Zombies, and the gameplay is difficult, yet very engaging. A lot of the new things that Treyarch added also increased the quality of this map, like the Magma Gats and the new traps. For these reasons, I can comfortably say that Blood of the Dead is not only an underrated map, but also one of the best when it comes to certain aspects. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up this video for today. I wanted to make a short, quick video just to explain why this map is incredibly underrated, because I still see so many people to this day dogging on Blood of the Dead when it's actually a pretty decent map. Do I think it's one of the greatest of all time? No, I do think there are some better maps than Blood of the Dead out there. I would probably rank Blood of the Dead as like a top 15 if I were putting it on a list. But to say that it's one of the worst maps of all time and has the worst Easter egg in all of Zombies, I think is a bit of an overstatement. So for that, I decided to just make this video. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, do all that. Leave your comments down below if you want to see me do any other type of content. Check down the description as well for more zombie-related videos. And yeah, I got nothing much else to say, so peace.